time. Well, day one served up plenty of headlines, none more so than Sweden's sensational 4-2 victory over China. And this after going 2 down inside 2 minutes. Germany were left looking utterly shell-shocked. The normal levels of calm and organisation shattered. And even the normally reliable captain Nadine Angerer showing a side to her game that we don't usually see. So this has fueled maybe a belief that this team and this squad aren't quite as good as they think that they are. Sundager certainly got it right tactically. That second half was a very, very good display by the Swedes. Outplayed the Germans for the large proportion of it. So the likes of Pop and Manderson, Sasic all had really quiet games. As for the Chinese, well, are they going to face the backlash here today? They had a creditable draw with the Brazilians, 0-0. But we will begin, as ever, with the national anthems. National anthem of China will be followed by the national anthem of Germany. Well, the conditions here are absolutely superb. Very good pitch, and the weather just very sunny, very warm, with a little breeze blowing around the place just to add a bit of cool. And talking about cool, Emma Hayes is here, and Germany, well, they were shambles for large parts of that game, and we'll see in just a second that there's been wholesale changes.
Well, they had to be. They got complacent, especially going 2-0 up after 3 minutes. Sometimes that happens in games, but we've come to expect a lot more from Germany. I thought it was a professional performance from Sweden. They've shown they can bounce back and finish the game, the dominant side.
Only thing about it is, here we go, there's the German lineup here today, and as you can see, it bears little resemblance to the team that played the other day. Lauder, Lucy, Kran, a couple of the survivors from the other day. Simone Lauder, perhaps the best player on the day for Germany, operating down the flank, both left and right hand flank. Some great movement off the ball from her. Scored the second goal. Could have had another couple of goals, certainly if Mittag had actually passed her the ball when she was through on goal. As for the Chinese, it's pretty much as we expected for them, with few changes from the match the other day. They prefer a consistency in the 11. They've qualified, remember, for the World Cup finals this time around. They didn't in 2011. The 2 previous World Cups to that, they ended up in the quarter-finals. But it's always good to see how the Chinese are progressing, because we don't see so many of their players in Europe or in the Americas. The only time you ever see them is at events like this.
We do, but this is a team that's progressing together. Their average age is pretty young, you know, and their coach has argued on more than one occasion that they will peak come the Olympics next year. So I think we're seeing an improved China team. It'll be interesting to see how they cope with the pace and the power of this German side.
Well, it was the Germans that were put under considerable pressure after the opening 10 minutes, where we thought that they were going to run riot, but it was a very good turnabout by the Swedes. They really did put in some shift in that game, and it just remains to be seen just what type of reaction we're going to get here today from the German girls. The referee today is from Mexico, Lucila Vanegas. So it's China then who will get us underway here. So referee happy. So it's a remodeled back four, it's a remodeled midfield, and remodeled up front for Germany here. Referee just waiting for the match director to give her the signal for us to get underway here. Previous meetings between these two have tended to favour Germany. Got to go back to 2006, the last time the Chinese won by 1-0. They met in the Algarve Cup a year ago. Germany won by 1-0 there as well. But it's 1-4, drawn one of the last 5. And in 4 of those games, China have not scored a goal. That was De Britz's ball. Looking there for Petterman. Then it came off the hand there. Referee not giving anything. Back to Kemme, who's taken over from Hendricks, who was getting taken to the cleaners in the second half of that game the other day. But Sjogren was having a really good second half. And on the other side, Kramer, who also isn't in today, had a torrid time against Aslani.
We're certainly going to see a young German performance today. A lot of these players, as we know, have come through the age groups, coming of age.
Clearance by Kran. 19 was Alushi. What we highlighted about Alushi's game actually was the number of times she gave away possession of the ball in the midfield. Found the closeness of the attention of the Swedes a little bit too much to bear at times there. That was Tan Ruyin. And the 3 here is Wang. Babette Peder. And Schultz in goal today for Germany.
There's one area they're not lacking in quality, and that's the goalkeeping department.
It runs through the men's team as well. Germany is producing an absolute slew of very, very good goalkeepers across all ranges, both male and female. And if Angela believes she can coast as she did a bit in that game when she got roasted when she came charging out of a penalty area and was beaten by Jakobsen.
That's
Just a reminder that nobody's
talking about.
Yeah, nobody is irreplaceable.
I think the Germans found the game quite easy for the first 30 minutes, but the minute Sweden got an early goal.
This is De Britz. Sliding it through should be the opening goal here. It could fall here for Petterman, and it didn't in the end. And Germany were guilty of blowing some of the best chances they created a couple of days ago. Can't really afford to be in positions like that and not take full advantage. Give some credit, though, to Zhang Yuhi, the goalkeeper.
But this is where players that are sat on the fringes has a chance to shine. Got a young midfield with Leopolds and De Britz in there, but they're both players who like to get forward and score goals.
Well, so does this player as well. Lauder wins the first corner. And this is where Germany could capitalize. Onside. And unfortunate Mittag. She was through on goal a couple of times against the Swedes as well in one-on-ones. And she ended up planting it straight into the keeper. It wasn't a very good finish, that, at all, for a player of her ability. Keeper gets a touch to it, just enough to take it out of the area. This is Alushi. Good ball in by Alushi, and the header coming in from Babette Peda. Couple of good chances inside the opening 4 minutes.
Well, we know Germany will be good from set pieces, but back to the Mittag chance earlier. It was a poor finish from her, equally from Alushi. I think we know with Mittag, she's going to get a lot of chances. I don't think she gets enough goals in her career. They are heavily reliant on goals from Sasic, who's not playing today.
Good jump there by Quebec, but she went right through on Han Peng.
This really will be a tough test for China. A lot of young players, as we know, been progressing throughout the Asian Cup. When they play against the European teams, that's where they struggle.
Short. Making the first error of the opening 5 minutes here, putting herself under a bit of unnecessary pressure. Giving away the corner kick, the Wolfsburg keeper. Well, it was met full on then by Wang Shanshan. Good jump.
Yeah, it was a good header. It was a ball put into the right areas. You can see the way Germany have set up. They've got 4 zonal players. They're trying to defend that space at the front post, and they don't deal with it. It's the reason why they've set up with 2 players in those areas. But they're the challenges with zonal defending. You have to attack the ball.
Dupont, who's playing in a slightly more regressed position than she was a couple of days ago. Giving that away to Peterman. Here comes Meyer. Well, you can see what she was trying to do there. Peterman was in a decent position.
Well, Meyer's got a strong right foot. You see, she's more comfortable getting the ball back on her right foot. And this is where both left and right hand side, the fullbacks have to keep width for this German side. As we know, Alushi likes to drift in. Equally, Lauder, as impressive as she is down this left hand side, I think she has natural tendencies to play down the middle.
Offside for the number 17, Hu Yasha. There's De Bretz, gives it away. Red shirt swarming over the middle of the field. De Bretz picking it up again. 11 here is Mittag. Lauder. Meyer going on the overlap here, trying to get it through to Mittag again, but they were always chasing that, trying to keep the ball under control.
But that's the width I'm referring to. I mean, Lauder gets on the defender. See that there's attacking play from Meyer on her left-hand side, but she didn't pick her out.
Good interception by Petter. There's De Bretz. Meyer, second to it. Challenge from Li Ying.
It's a nice, strong challenge. Li Ying's going to have to do a lot of defending. Just protect that space in and around the centre circle.
Meyer. Well, getting in each other's way. There was Alushi. And just got right in front of Peterman then. Working hard, Alushi, to try and track back, but you see how narrow she'd been pulled right into the middle there. You can see it back there with Keme, back to Kran. There's Alushi, just atoning for her error there.
Well, I think that's where you can exploit Germany. I think Alushi on that right-hand side, as I said earlier, wants to drift in, support the striker.
To be fair, that's where she was playing the other day, basically in a hole behind Sasic, but she's been moved out into the wider right position here today. She's a player that's never really delivered on all of the promise over the last few years. She's always been the focus and the feature and the main attention grabber on the eve of tournaments, but has never quite lived up to the expectations of everybody around her. This is Han Peng then with the corner.
I think with Alushi, there's just inconsistency with performance, just as you expect her to push on with her game. She often goes quiet when she's needed.
Yeah, you can see what Li Ying was trying to do there. Obviously, she spends most of her time watching a bit of Serie A back there because she was just trying to stop the run of Kran. Here's Maya.
Well, one advantage that China do have is this team's been together since January, and they're looking to stay together as a team up until the middle of May. Clearly don't feel that these players are going to develop at the club level. They keep them in residency for as long as possible, and it will give China the best possible opportunities to do well.
There's Peter looking for Lauder. Tracking back by Li Dongna.
I think we're going to see a lot of that from Li Dongna.
Maya. Angle was there for the cross, and Alushi up, and it's going to dip, but not going to dip enough. Keme's strike.
You can already see Kemi's intentions. I mean, the right back, one of the furthest forward players there at the back post, drops nicely for her, but she just catches the ball on its way up. Gets her foot under it. Well, I think both of the German fullbacks love to go forward and attack. Maya, we're used to seeing as a right back, who's going to constantly cut the ball back, which could present a different problem for China.
That's where we saw the opening goal against the Swedes come from. Beautifully struck a volley from Marizan from pretty much that position. There's Maya, back to Petter. There's Leupolz. Wang. Bit short for Heian. This is Lauder. Hederman's off in front of her. That's going to be a free kick.
It's really sloppy defending from Wang Shanshan. But this is what Lauder's great at, running at defenders. There's a player that gets quicker with the ball at her feet. But there's no Marizan on the pitch.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is where it sometimes does go wrong for the Chinese, is that they can lose it a bit. And you see a few challenges like that coming in.
I just think they're not used to physical opponents. It's different when you're playing against the likes of Japan and Korea on a regular basis. A lot of possession-oriented football.
Well, this is Mittag who's over it, along with Leupolz. Tag it is, and they're clearly working on something, looking to try and get Keme in on the back post, but just not a particularly good execution from Mittag.
No, not convincing at all. Didn't really feel she looked confident in what she was doing. I think it's a wasted opportunity to test the goalkeeper in the first 15 minutes of the game.
Well, somebody up there clearly likes her because she's making a 116th appearance here for the German national team today. The outfield players, nobody has got more than that. And the free kick given away by Peter.
One thing you're guaranteed of with Mittag is a player just works her socks off across that front line. She creates space for other players. It's one of the things I enjoy about watching her play.
It's Peter. Ayan then with the throw-in. See, Lucy has just switched flanks and come over to the left-hand side. Again, the challenge from behind wasn't a particularly nice one by Yasha. And Keme. 14 is Peter. Get good work that by Li Ying. They don't hold on to possession for long enough. Leupolz into Meyer. Held up by Mittag. Leupolz again. Everybody in a red shirt back behind the ball. Not moving the ball quick enough, Germany, at the moment here.
Well, it's certainly tough for them to break China down. They've got 5 midfielders. Making it hard. Like you said, you have to move the ball quickly. Shift it across the park.
Well, Lucy's waiting in the penalty area. They get another corner kick here. Quarter of an hour gone in the first half.
That's not the first intervention by Dogner. Timed it to perfection. But another set-piece opportunity. And Germany so far have dominated every ball into the box.
Here's De Brits then. Crowded right on the line, and the keeper does brilliantly to get a fist to that. And then off of the line, nicely done again by Dasha. They dressed that lineup very well. They knew what the potential dangers were there from that corner kick, and just look how well organised they were here.
That's a great ball into the box, though, from De Brits.
It's Mittag's shot, I think, isn't it? Is De Brits again. As Meyer into Alicia. Again, she's clipped from behind.
Again, another poor decision from the captain, Wu Heiyan. Just got to stay on her feet. Just force Alushi to play backwards, then shuffle across back into position.
Meyer then to take the free kick here. Zhang. You have to say, has been very commanding so far, the Chinese keeper. Then they mix it up again here. There's Mittag with that on the turn. Not particularly well done. Yasha brings it away, or half brings it away. Keme has got the strength there to withstand the challenge. There's Alushi. Round to Ayan. She's going to have to go on her own and get another corner. Another corner is exactly what they've got.
Yeah, that's good play from Alushi on the left-hand side. She's got something for a team in the form of a corner. You can't help but wonder that one of these set pieces is going to pay off for Germany, because China just giving away too many corners and free kicks.
There's Leupolz. Also in that is Lauder, who is very prolific with her head from set plays. Lauder, nicely done by De Brits, sets it up nicely. Alushi will give chase. Yasha will close her down. Alushi, it's a poor ball from Alushi.
It's really the second phase that Germany need to execute. It was a good ball into the box from De Brits. She's got a wand of a left foot.
Very much one of the new generation from Freiburg. Sarah De Brits, who's only just 20 years of age. But again, you can track their international development back to the under-19s, 18s, 17s, 16s. Very well schooled internationally from an extremely young age, the German Sis Keme. Into Lauder. Nicely done. Let it roll across the body. Turns, gets it out to Meyer. Meyer, first time ball. Peterman is there. Mitak, did she touch her arm then, Mitak? I think it might have done.
Now, I think she knows it touched her arm, but that's brilliant play from Germany. Much quicker 1 and 2 touch play to get the ball into the wide area. Lovely first time ball from Meyer. And there's the clear handball.
Surprised she didn't get booked for that. Went right through the legs there of Louis Shanshan. Very congested midfield. There goes De Brits into Petter. Kran. Made it easy to intercept then, Kran. It's Babette Petter who's just hanging back there. And Schultz.
Well, it's too easy for Germany. When China do win the ball, failing to hit their strikers, I think it's going to be a long afternoon defensively for them if they don't retain the ball better.
Something to chase, and in the end, it's Wang who decides that there's no point in taking any risks. Mitak hustled out of it there by Han Peng. Alushi back over to the right-hand side now. Alushi sails over the head of Peterman.
I think a good start by both centre-backs from China. Really dealt with most things in these areas, other than this ball into the box.
Well, I think we have seen the problems that China have had in the previous game. They can contain, but they offer very little threat going forward at the moment, and again giving it away on the halfway line.
You can see both Li Ying and Gu Yasha frustrated not to get a little more ball. It's up to the midfielders and for the defenders of China. When they win it, they've got to find feet of those players, because I think any ball you put into space, Germany are just too quick.
Drops for Zhao Rong. Don't really have a working system, do they, the Chinese, to be perfectly honest? I mean,
They just look, you know, a little athletically behind Germany, and I feel once you run, you're going to have to pass their way through them. Can't see too many players picking the ball up and running at the heart of that Germany defence. We know that Li Ying in particular, the number 10's got qualities to do things. But I think opportunities will be few and far between. But they are a young group. As I said before, the average age is 22.
There's Kran into De Brits. Yeah, nicely weighted ball, finding Meyer. Lauder is available for it. She's not going to get it. A little bit of frustration creeping in.
Well, it's a stark contrast to the opening game where they were 2-0 up in 3 minutes. I think Germany have been deserving of a goal in this first half.
I think what we are seeing here on the eve of the Women's World Cup is it's not going to be predictable. We know Germany are good, but you know they've had their difficulties, and you know there's nobody that stands head and shoulders above anybody else here from what we've seen so far.
But that's because the rest of the world has got better.
Which is good for the game,
yeah,
obviously.
Absolutely. It's harder to predict. I mean, watching Portugal, France the other day, I think in another 12 months that game will be even closer. It's just what the sport needs, I think, to attract greater interest.
Yeah, long gone are the days. We're on the eve of the World Cup. You were wondering just how the Germans and the USA would fare in the final.
Absolutely.
You know,
I think we can at least talk about 4 or 5 teams now that are really going to compete. And I do think Germany are favourites going into the tournament, but I'm sure France will have something to say about it, along with the United States. And you can't rule out Japan. Yes, they lost the other day 2-1 to Denmark, but they were completely dominant.
There's De Brits again, midfield, this time just getting hassled out of it. Nicely defended that time by Peter. Finds Meyer. Meyer into Alushi. Lauder is wide of her. There's that long, graceful stride of hers, Alushi. Now, where's she going to go with it? Well, you know, she just has not been on her game, or to quote one of your saying, she's not really bought her A game here this year.
She hasn't bought her A game, Tim. But what we have seen from Alushi is what I think Germany needs to do more of, and that is run at that back four. The problem we've faced so far is the quality of that final decision has been lacking. You know, she plays a ball in behind to Lauder when it's not really on. Got to play to feet there. And I think if they can improve what they're doing in the final third, we will see goals in this game. But like you said before, Germany are used to bowling over opponents like China, even in the Algarve Cup. That's no longer the case.
Yeah, they've been very dominant in this event down the years, have Germany. Well, I mean, that wasn't even close, was it? From Lauder. And again, just underlining maybe a little bit of creeping frustration here. This is Liu Heiyan with the throw in here. Of course, what we will see from Sylvie Nye during the course of this game is, if it isn't working with the 11 out there, we'll see just how much quality they've got in depth, as we're seeing here pretty much, because it's virtually a completely different team from the other day.
But some of these young players have to be exposed to opposition like China. The likes of De Pritz and Leopolds really going to benefit from it.
Nice ball. This is Leopolds. Picks out a nice pass as well for Alushi. Mitag on the edge of the penalty area. Kem is up here now and decides to let fly from 30 meters out.
That seems to be a feature of their play in the first half. Both fullbacks been heavily involved.
And you can see in that picture again an indication of the intelligence, the movement off the ball of Lauder. You can see her running along the line, darting in and out of the defenders there.
Clever player. I mean, one player who hasn't been involved in the game is Petterman. Haven't spoken about, barely touched the ball. But that's how congested it is in that central area. That's why it's important for Germany to keep stretching the game out.
One of the few of this squad who plays a football, Alushi, outside of Germany, plays with Paris Saint-Germain, along with Annika Krant.
I've got so many players now competing at the top end of Champions League football. That's why, for me, they are favourites for the World Cup. There's
Mitag. It's their ability to overcome extreme odds, as we saw last year in that amazing Champions League final. That was Leopolds, wants it back again through the middle, Leopolds, but again it's Alushi, and again it's an overhit pass.
Well, that's what they have to figure out, Germany. To China's credit, the goalkeeper Zhang Yu has been really quick off of her line.
Very commanding presence at the back for China.
Yeah, absolutely. Been an excellent start for her.
Now they've got a bit of width here for the first time, pretty much. There's Han Peng.
We've seen already China have been threatening from corners.
Yeah, Wang Shanshan, the number 3.
But that's the first time we've seen them go 1v1 in the wide areas with a degree of success.
Well, this is interesting. They've not committed very many players forward here, that's for sure. Han Peng is down there. Zhao Rong. There is the number 3, Wang Shanshan. Clearance from Annika Kran. Not the greatest clearance that time. Now they've still got players forward here. Yasha is waiting on the edge of the penalty area. But again, they can't put 2 or 3 passes together, the Chinese, before they give it away.
Well, it's just poor play all round. I mean, Alushi, to begin with, gets a really good counter-attack moment and turns the ball over. That's where China need to be positive. They got an opportunity to unbalance Germany, and they make a backward pass.
Yeah, I think those of you who saw the Chinese coming through in the under-20s that was played in St. Petersburg just about a decade over or so ago, when we saw the arrival of Ma. You remember Ma, who it looked as about to be one of the big global superstars of the women's game, but just drifted.
I think she tore a cruciate ligament.
She was about, I think, 23. She did a cruciate ligament and never was the same again.
I remember when she played for Umia in the Champions League. She was a fantastic prospect.
So a drink break. There goes Sylvie Knight, who this year will be celebrating 10 years in charge, or coming up 10 years in charge of the national team.
Oh, what a great career she's had.
Took over on the 20th of June 2005. Great decade, but the one thing that just cast a shadow over her decade in charge was the performance in the World Cup on home territory. Everything about it was put on right. It was a great event. The under-20s had won the World Under-20 Cup the year before, so it was all groomed. Everything was there, but they failed, and it was a spectacular failure as well, wasn't it?
You mean the Germans are human?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah.
Managing pressure is the hardest part, especially when you're hosting a tournament. And lots of those players in the build-up to that tournament became real media stars. And some of that frenzy can get in the way of performance.
Well, quite what was going through the mind then, you'd have to stop and ask her, because it was something or nothing. And when you know, or everybody knows, that you've been together for 1-2 months prior to an event like this, things like that happening, well, they really shouldn't, should they?
Well, there's loads of things that play into that. You know, for some players too, they can be together too often and for too long with the national team.
Well, there again, I mean, that's poor from Zhao Rong, and that deserves a yellow card, really, because there was nothing but intent about that.
And they're handing it to Germany. China have done really well to keep Germany in front of them, and they've given away so many needless fouls.
Why is that not a yellow card?
It's a clear yellow card.
What Germany needs here is a goal. dominated every aspect of the game. Apart from that, is De Brits then. That's a good delivery, that is, from De Brits.
Well, she can certainly put a ball deep into areas. But Germany haven't made the most of the set pieces in the first half, and Zhang Zhu hasn't had a single save to make.
No, 33 minutes gone. And I think we'll probably see, this is a game when you need somebody like Alex Pop to get in there and just put herself about, use her physique to just rough them up a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so far they haven't imposed themselves. As I mentioned before, Petterman sitting in behind Mittag's not involved in the game.
There's Lucy, and she again is clipped from behind.
Just a lot of niggly free kicks.
Yeah, and I think that was one back then.
That's why it's important to book players at the right time, because you stop the tit for tat.
Might have viewed France in action a little bit later this afternoon after we conclude here against Denmark, the team that turned over the world champions the other day. Ampeng. And Kran is in there just as Keme loses possession. They don't have the skill, pace or strength to get beyond, do they? Either of the fullbacks, Maya or Keme.
No, it's where they're struggling. You can see they're playing for set pieces. And to be fair, I think China's ball into the box has been better than Germany's.
Louder. Where they have been good, the Chinese, is getting bodies back behind the ball whenever they don't have possession. As you can see, everybody back behind the ball. And we mentioned this a little bit earlier on. Germany need to move the ball with more pace.
The downside to that is if you're
making errors
Li
like that
Ying
one.
and Gu Yasha, you don't have the energy to get forward with all that defending.
That's better. It was Leopolds getting stuck in. Here's Petterman. Petterman, how much pace did she put on that? Mittag had no chance to bring it under control then. De Brits. Into Petter. No way through. Did well to win it back though, Maya. But look at that, only Petterman on the edge of the penalty area. So just against switch play. Keme again tries to roll it through once more. There's too much weight on the pass.
And that's why it's important. There was a moment there on the left-hand touchline that Zhao Rong nearly fouled Maya. She pulled her hands away in the last minute. I think Germany, they're lacking creativity. Just lacking somebody linking the midfield and the front line, and yes, shifting the ball well from left to right.
It's only watching this German team you can see why people quite fancy the French to win the World Cup, actually, don't you?
Well, you know, you've got to wonder, without Madijan on the pitch, you know, a player that can really open things up. If you're playing against well-organised, well-drilled teams, sit a little bit deeper, don't give you space, don't give you space on the counter-attack. And I think it'd be interesting to see how Germany break those teams down, because as we know, traditionally, if they're not overpowering teams in the opening exchanges, they're often a very good counter-attacking and set-piece team.
Ball's free there, looking for Mittag, but Wang got there first. There's Keme. Put under a bit of pressure. That was good work from the Chinese then. 19 is Ruyin. Germany too, quick to reorganize themselves at the back. Here's Peter into Maya. Mittag. Now Lucy will make the break, trying to get in behind Li Dongna.
I mean, again, really good defending from China. They're not getting enough credit for the work they're doing off the ball, but once they force Germany down one side of the pitch, done really well to keep them there.
He's just roughed up a bit there, said it was Babette Pera, Jarong from Haiyan, Ru Yin. Is there a way through here? Mitak has made a good run. Loud out with the layoff. Here's Alushi. She was looking for Kame to get up on the overlap. There she is. And this one in. That very nearly went straight in. Good piece of reaction keeping that is from Zhang. It might just have been curling away, but she felt that she needed to deal with it.
Oh, it has to be said, that's a fantastic save from the goalkeeper. She's backpedaling and just flicks that away from the goal. How many times have we seen women's football over the year where that just sail over a keeper's head?
There's Babette Pera. She's clearly enjoying her game here. Zhang follows the flight of that ball again, and the free kick has been given.
I mean, that's the first real chance created by Germany, and arguably
with
it was a
5 minutes to go. Yeah.
Stroke shot. How intentional that was for Keme, only she will know.
Now they could do maybe with a Lavoisier to come on here.
They need something to unlock it. You see with Lauder, when she drifts into the middle, brings something different for them in there.
Now they're in here. This is Mitak. Low. Mitak scores. That is a disappointment from Zhang's perspective, because we've given her plenty of praise in the way that she's dealt with awkward situations in this first half. Crowded 6-yard areas, getting hands to the ball, but she was slowed down there.
She took 2 steps to the left. You're seeing the replay. It's deadly for a goalkeeper. Once you start going in one direction, then you've got to quickly move back. It's a lovely touch by Mita. She's got clear intention.
Substitution for China player out
I think for
17.
Zhang Yu, been really disappointed with that, because up until now she's coped with everything that Germany has thrown her way.
China made a change. Tang Jiali is in. Can Germany go on from this? Here's Lauder. They've got players waiting inside the penalty area here. Pentamon and Mitak were both there waiting to attack that ball. Ayan with the throw. And Peter guiding it out of play. Jarong.
Not such a poor time for them to concede a goal. We're looking so comfortable, and yes, there's been German pressure as we expect.
Well, what you're seeing here, of course, as well, are the benefits of a very strong home league. I mean, we don't really know what the quality of the league is like in China, but one thing you can make a fairly safe assumption is it's not as strong as it is in Germany.
I think that's why they're in residency for as long as they are.
Jarong on the edge of the penalty area, picked up by Leopolds. Pentamon is giving chase. Lee Dong-na. He's given straight away to Leopolds again. Lauder's making ground. Alushi. Again, she was always struggling to maintain that ball. Leopolds doing okay.
Oh, it's just the decision-making of Alushi. You want to see a player like that on the front foot, taking players on. It's not the first time it's just ran away from her.
Here's the goal. Nicely struck, but the keeper really should have done perhaps a little better than she did.
You see she struggles to transfer weight. Really just a couple of small steps to her left made it difficult for her. I don't think Tan Ruin really wanted the ball in that area.
Well, they're going to have to alter the way they go about this in the second half, China, if they want something out of it, because they haven't created a single chance of note inside all but 45 minutes here. And this is a bit better, putting a bit more pressure on Germany deep inside their own half here. Instead, there is a bit of a change, because they've had that tendency every time Germany get in possession to just filter players back behind the ball, back into their own half, and Germany just meander forward unchecked.
Again, just lack that 1v1 pace and power to get beyond Lauder.
Ian with the throw.
Período mínimo de compensação, minuto, extra time, 1 minute.
Didn't go for the corner. It's Lauder. Ian. And Schultz making the first interception, first thing she's had to do for some while. Bit more intensity about the Chinese in these last couple of minutes.
And they've been really good defensively to prevent German counter-attacks.
Wow, I think Keme was just booked there.
I think it's a little harsh. Clearly a foul. Han Penguin takes the ball. I'm not so sure if it's a yellow card.
Well, considering what has come the other way, it seemed a little harsh, but China have got plenty forward here, including Wang Shad, who's had one decent attempt. It's aimed into order. And that is the final kick then of the first half here on the second day of the Algarve Cup. And Germany will go in, leading by a single goal to nil, scored by this lady here, and Yamitag, rattling in a 32nd international goal here today, which broke the deadlock. It's been a game of patience, Emma, this first half.
Yeah, absolutely. I think China have been set up well and organised. Germany have taken their time to break them down. They got a goal in and around sort of the halfway mark. And I think Germany deserve to be leading, but they've got to improve if they're going to build on that score.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll look over the first half highlights. Welcome back then from me, Tim Capel and Emma Hayes here. It is Germany who lead China by a single goal to nil then at the interval. Let's have a look back at some of the key highlights then of the first half. There weren't too many highlights in terms of missed opportunities and missed chances, but Germany going to get games like this where they've just got to remain patient and take the opportunity when it arises.
And they've got a history of doing that, but I think that's going to happen more often than not. Been a stubborn first half performance from China, and that's why the score's only 1-0.
A few early chances here. This was Meyer's ball in. And then the shot on the turn from exactly the same position Marizan actually scored against the Swedes a couple of days ago. And it was Keme who put it wide. There she is.
It's fullback to fullback. See, she catches it on the way up.
Keeper did well to get a fist to that ball at all. And again, Mitag in there. Or Pediment, I think it was actually, not Mitag. Here we go again. No, it was Mitag, but good defending on the line. Here's Maya. And this was a handball from Mitag.
And I think she knows it.
Yeah, no complaints from Anya Mitag. Germany, as we said, dominating every quarter of the pitch here. This was Lushi waiting for Keme to get up on the overlap, which she does here. And it was a cross, but it very nearly ended up in the back of the net.
I think it's excellent goalkeeping. Really is. Many a time we've seen that go over goalkeepers at the top level. Just bats it away.
And this is the goal. Mitag 25 metres out. And disappointing, to say the least, from Zhang, who had coped with difficult situations, and that was just routine, really.
Well, she'd coped with everything in the air, and it's the first time we'd seen her have to deal with something on the floor. Couldn't shift her body weight across. You'd like to think a goalkeeper would do better than that. Yes, Mitag, I think, gives her the eyes to go to.
Welcome back then from me, Tim Cable and Emma Hayes. Now we're going to get a load of substitutions here. Blasse's coming on, Alex Pop is coming on. Blasek is there, and there is Alex Pop. Lauder and Lushi are the players who have gone off. Lushi and Lauder. So presumably Penniman will move into a wider position to allow Pop to go up front. Now, are China going to come out with a sense of purpose here? Well, if the first touch hadn't been so poor there from Xiaorong, she was in behind Maya for pretty much the first time in the game.
She was, and Germany were napping. Really slow start from them. They've stated their intentions with their substitutes. Pop will certainly bring something to the game.
Needs a bit of an improvement on the performance she put in the other day. She didn't actually look 100% fit, I've got to say.
She's just one of those players. She can be menacing in terms of getting free kicks for a team. I was
going to say, how many free kicks does she get? I mean, there is the downside to Alex Pop's game in the fact that every time anybody goes within touching distance of her, she's gone down on the floor, which does get a bit irritating because, quite frankly, she's got enough about her. She doesn't need that.
But that's not down to her. That's where the officiating needs to be stronger.
Shan Shan. That was Petterman. She'll give chase, but Zhang is there. Yeah, that was Rien who was caught there with a late foot.
China really need to get off to a good start. We've seen that they're organised defensively, but they haven't created anything going forward. To do that, they're going to have to commit more numbers.
There has to be a plan B for China, because if it's just based, or their game is just based on what we saw for the first 40 minutes, which was try and play on the counter-attack, except they never really got any decent possession, then it's going to be a very predictable exit from the World Cup. There's Blasset. 18 is Alex Pop. Keme is up on the edge of the penalty area now as well. Blasse once more. Only recently made her debut. Blasse after being called into the squad, the number 7 from Wolfsburg. What a club that is to be involved with these days, both men and women. Again, this is good pressure, this from Germany. Not perhaps the best use of the ball in that position from Pop, but they had a very, very healthy presence. They pressed China right back into their own half. Couldn't get out.
That's
50th appearance today for her.
Yeah, I mean, this is a player we've seen on the scene for a long time. Good to see her out on the left-hand side. I think she can offer Germany that little bit of width they've been lacking. She will put balls into the box. But it's much of the same from Germany. Strong start from them. They're on the front foot.
There's De Brits opening things up again. Yeah, it was averaging a goal every other game. That's just slipped because she hasn't scored in the last game, but 24 goals in 50 appearances so far. It's not a bad record. There goes Mittag into Pop. Over there is Haiyan. No way out there for Haiyan. 3 surrounded. Myers up.
But again, just scrappy entries into the final third. I mean, so many wayward passes from Germany today with their forward ball into the forwards. Can't help but think they connect with one of them, they will test the goalkeeper. But I've been really disappointed with their attacking play today.
Betterman, Blasse wants the ball. Here's Leopolds. Leopolds into Blasse. Keme's up in support with it. Keme into Pederman. Nicely weighted ball. Blasse just lost her footing there as she went to sweep that in. Good build-up play from Germany.
Blasse will give you good ball into the box. She's done it time and time again for Wolfsburg.
Well, bring you the action from the Women's Champions League. The next round, you'll be able to see Bristol against Hamburg. Frankfurt, rather, not Hamburg. After their miraculous victory over Barcelona. Ashton Gate, the first leg. Flick on by Han Peng, but again, nobody through the middle. There's little tactical discipline, is there, about the Chinese, the way they're set up here?
They're certainly not going to get out of shape and don't commit too many numbers forward, and they win it. They've only got one target in Li Ying, and there's certainly no runners from midfield running beyond the ball, which makes it even harder for them to score. But as I said before, they're a young team, so part of their objective...
Oh, given away to Mittag again. Well, you don't want to be overcritical, but a player of Mittag's experience, in the game against Sweden, we saw it on a relatively often occurring poor passes.
How many
and that
times?
Was another one.
How many times today have we seen Germany get into good areas where there's 2v1 situations, and they're just failing to make basic passes?
Well, this will be, I mean, Sylvie Nye will be really unhappy with some of the play that she's seen from this German squad. Yu Shanshan's ball through. This is Kran. Yu Shanshan with the throw in here. Looking to try and pick out Li Ying. Han Peng, Kran with the interception. Easy interception this time. Han Peng. And just showed too much of it. And De Brits is away here for Germany. De Brits into Mittag. Is she offside? No, she isn't. Is this a tap-in for Pederman? No, it isn't. Again, it didn't really flow easily, that move for Germany. There were definitely chances there to extend their lead. And less said about that, the better for Maya.
It's just a frustrated shot from distance. But as you said, the ball just hasn't run kindly for Germany in the final third. She can't quite get it out of her feet. Yes, it's a ball into the central areas, but it's not a very good one.
There goes Keme. And again, Mittag, it comes off of her heel there into Blasset. She got the pace. No.
China have done such a good job doubling up in those wide areas. You see Blasset can't get a cross in. He's just dealing with two players around her the whole time.
Keme. Blasset, and it's a Chinese ball. Keme's throw. Referee not happy. Change will be made. That'll be Li Ying, who is coming off for China to be replaced by Xu Yanlu. And also Zhang Rui is coming on as well. Mittag. Well, gets lucky. Keme. Blas is waiting on the near side of the 6-yard area, but again, it's cut out before it makes its way to it. There's De Brits. Keme again. De Brits will pick it up once more. What you'd like to see is her get in range and actually shoot. As you commented before, she's got a great left foot. Here's Babette Pera into Mittag again. Pop moving toward the edge of the penalty area. Again, lifted up. No pace on that ball in them from Germany. De Brits gets it out again. Keme will meet it. No support for Keme. Finally finds a bit from De Brits, but she's on her right foot here, not her left, and then she was looking to see where Keme had gone. Keme gets a foot there, but it was all a bit too cumbersome, that from Germany.
But another good defensive effort from China. They really have improved defensively as a nation. I remember watching them last year and thinking about how easy they were to score against. And this year it's not the case, but it's the other end of the pitch they're really struggling.
As Keme has taken a bit of a whack. Well, it isn't really what you'd call a new German squad, new German team. I mean, 6 of the players who started, as we're looking at this move here where Keme goes down, 6 of the players that started the opening day were in that European Championship final a couple of years ago, and the rest are around and about. So it's not really a time of change for Germany.
It's not vintage Germany. It certainly lacks creativity. You think about that final ball into the striker or to the wide player today. There's been nobody has had any real invention in a workmanlike performance from Germany, swinging the ball from left to right, getting into wide areas, forcing throw-ins and corners.
As Keme looking for Pop. There, that's what they needed a bit more of. Pop using a physical strength there and presence to win that ball. Mai's getting forward here. Mai unlucky, nearly the beneficiary then of something out of nothing. This is what Pop does so well.
Just so physical. Picks a pass out to Maya. But once again, China quick to clear their box. Good defending.
Maya. And to Petter. Crown will leave it for Schultz. And Peng loses out. Is Blasé. Now, what can Blasé do here? There's the cutback, but she just simply didn't look when she played the pass, did she?
I mean, it's the first time she's got in behind, but it was a runner to the front post, but hits it to no one.
As Pop once more, and to Keme here. Keme should be the keeper's ball, and it is.
With 60 minutes in, not a lot of chances created by Germany. Can see they're dominating the ball. They've kept China in that defensive third without creating a lot. Just lack that conviction. Look a little rusty.
Well, Japan have beaten Portugal by 3-0. That's the final score there. Leopolds into Keme, gives the ball away. The Brits off of Mitag winning it. Blasé wants it played early and gets it. There are now 4 German players making their way to the penalty area. Can Blasé get this cross in? No, she can't. Again, it's good defending. Lee Dong-na. Now, Rui needed to lay it off there. Zheli was in a really advanced position. There was nobody quite close to it. They got an overlap happening here as well. Han Peng. Han Peng.
So disappointed by Han Peng in the corner. Does all the hard work, gets into a good area. And there is support for her to just lay the ball back, and she doesn't even get a throw in for her team. That sums up China's attacking performance. Created very little.
There's Alex Pop. Covers some ground, doesn't she, Pop? I mean, back there helping out defensively, back over to the left side of midfield, racing through the centre. I mean, she's all over the field. There's Petterman. Blasé. Keme's coming up to join her. Blasé going deep, and again, just overhitting the ball.
But at least they're getting service into the box. In the first half, didn't see Lauda going down that left-hand side, nor did we see Alushi doing the same on the right. But China just seemed to cope with everything that Germany throw at them.
We're seeing Germany playing at about, what, 75% of their abilities?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
let's be fair here. This is a dull German performance. It's workmanlike.
Lifeless.
Yeah, it is. It lacks a spark. It lacks invention. It's not through the want of or the will to win the game. I think they know they can. That's always the fear with Germany, is they want to go up another gear or two, they can. But what we've seen in 2 displays so far is quite a limp attacking display from Germany.
Ru Yin is out. And the number 8, Ma Yun, is in.
Be interesting to see in the last 25 minutes if China do commit more players going forward if the score remains 1-0. As I can't see Germany scoring. Yes, they're creating entries into the final third, but goalkeeper Zhang Yu hasn't touched the ball.
Yaihan. Forward by Ma Yun, who's one of the few players who plays outside of China, plays with Suwon in Korea. Looking to spread out wide here for Han Pengbi's. Out of play it goes.
They just have a little more quality when they do counter-attack. I'd like to see them threaten Germany. It's not the first time they've got into a good area.
Well, they've got perhaps the most difficult game in the World Cup to begin with, because they meet the hosts. That's a free header. Well, what a chance for Zheli. Mistimed her jump and missed the opportunity, but Kran and Peter just again temporarily asleep. Yeah, Canada in Edmonton, followed by the Netherlands and New Zealand. And they've got just the type of game. The Canadians, of course, will be fueled by enthusiasm and belief that they can go on and do great things. Keme into Blasé. And Blasé again just puts too much weight on that ball. I mean, she drilled it with such pace.
But like you said earlier, it's not directed towards anyone. It's just a ball into the box. She's not looking to pick out players or even play into an area.
Not the greatest by any stretch of the imagination. There is Blasé again. Just a bit too slow in possession of the ball, and yeah, the Canadians will be watching and studying this and thinking, well, we'll have the better of the Chinese, but they could suffer a similar fate that the Germans are having here. Pop back to Meyer. Free header from Peterman.
Well, a little bit better from Germany. It's just a dink into a dangerous area. And Peterman, who's largely anonymous in this game.
29th meeting between these two teams. And China have won 8 previous. Headed by Ma Yun. Maya. Good work from Zhu Yanlu.
I think sometimes with all the changes that teams make, it does disrupt the pattern of play.
Had a bit quiet day today, Grant. Certainly quiet in relation to the chasing they got given against the Swedes a couple of days ago, and just kept in play there, looking to try and get Zheli in. And here is De Brits. Saw a lot of the ball in the first half, being quite quiet, and Leopold's as well was quiet too.
I mean, both players haven't gone forward, have kept their shape, their discipline. I know we're being critical of Germany's attacking performance, but we have to credit China for the work they've done off the ball to regain their shape and their composure. I'm not expecting a great deal from them going forward, but they're proving to be tough to beat.
This is Han Peng. Blasse was back there, and it fell unkindly then for Xu Xin. Now Germany in here. Well, that was generosity in the extreme then from Alex Pop, I have to say. I mean, does that underline where they are mentally? I mean, normally, you know, she would have drilled that into the back of the net.
I mean, just casual play. I mean, this is what I was talking about earlier. Germany are at their best on the counter-attack, and Pop puts an under-hit ball across the box to Pettermann. Disjointed. That's been Germany in the final third the entire game. Disconnected passes. Times complacent. It's a frustrating performance from them. But we've seen this so many times. I mean, the Algarve Cup is a tournament to prepare players for the World Cup or big tournament settings.
Keme, good play by Keme. Blasse now. Keme's continue to run. Now, where's Blasse going to go here? Again, I had too much time to think about it. Pettermann there, and coming in was Mittag then. Myers come forward. Now there's a gap here. Rui, if they can get this through the middle, there's a problem here for Germany. If they can drop this ball very nearly into the path of Zhe Li, and Keme loses out. There's Han Peng. Chances for China there.
If China were better going forward, they may be on equal terms in this game. They too have lacked the quality with that final pass, but that's the first time we saw four numbers trying to get ahead of the ball. Perhaps there's a little belief in this China team that they can get an equaliser in this game.
Leupolz is going to go off here. Just as we said, been largely anonymous in the second half. And Marazan is coming on. '43rd cap for Marazan. Keme goes. 17, Kramer is in. Kramer, who was playing as the left full-back the other day.
Well, she can go out there, and Maya can come back to her preferred position on the right. Might give Germany some better balance.
Liu Shanshan. This is Petter inside the final 20 minutes here in the Algarve Cup. Germany bouncing back, so it seems, from defeat on the opening day against the Swedes. There is De Brits. Pettermann into Marazan. Well, chance for the cutback to play into the path there of Pettermann, but again, final ball just lacking the quality needed as Schultz drives it forward again for Germany. It's a nice clearance that into Blasse. And De Brits. Well, got that all wrong, did Maya.
At times it's tear your hair out stuff for Germany, because we've come to expect so much more from this team. I know with the likes of Maya in particular, the Brits, Leopolds, these are young players that are transitioning into the senior setup. Nonetheless, just struggled to connect passes in the final third. Crosses has been wayward. I mean, how many times have we seen Germany test Zhang Yu? Barely had any shots on target the whole game.
Not very often. Decent point. Mitag's goal is all that separates the two teams again. Maya going in for it. Switch flanks Maya to afford Kramer the position as left full back. Here's Petter.
But I think if anybody thinks that China are soft touch, they have been the past few years, on the basis of this evidence and the draw against Brazil, an improving nation.
Yeah, 1 goal conceded in 2 games is not a bad record, but at the end of the day, when you look at that, if you convert it into points, it would be 1 point from 6, so it's still not good enough.
But it gives them a platform. You know,
How do you fancy their chance? I mean, Canada's clearly going to be difficult. Netherlands and New Zealand.
Well, I think Canada are expected to win that game as
And that's
host
got
nation.
draw written all over it, hasn't it? The opening
And
game.
it's got draw written all over it, exactly. I mean, it's going to require a moment of brilliance. But I think they can get something from the other 2 games.
There's Zakran. The Brits. And to Marazan. Finds Petter, looking for Kramer. Pop has gone on the inside of Ayam, but Wang Shanshan just guides it out of play.
They forced Germany to just keep shuttling the ball across the pitch.
Blasset calling for it. Here's Maya. She'll continue with it, Maya. Marazan. That's better. Blasset managed to whip this in here. Blasset back onto, well, not onto her left foot. She was still right-footed there. Marazan, good ball. Pot in. 2-0. That's better. Finally, they deliver a decent ball. Something for Pop to attack at the back post. And there she is, beginning the celebrations there, as Germany lead 2-0.
Well, it just shows you what happens when you deliver a quality ball into the box.
Who delivered it? Marazan.
It's what the game's been lacking, just her quality. I mean, it's a ball into an area. Yes, Pop has work to do, but that's what
Not
makes
great
her...
keeping her gain, is it, by Zhang?
No, you can see she struggles to shift from left to right. I still think powerful header from Pop. Take a top save to keep that one out.
Well, she's just got that average back to a goal every other game at international level. 50th cap, 25 goals for Alex Pop. And Germany have had to work very hard for their successes in this game.
It just shows you how important those 2 players are for Germany.
Zhushin. Kramer. Not a lot of movement off the ball for China. And again, it's all very half-hearted. Maya. Zhu was there, Blasé back. Getting hustled here. It's good work that from Liu Shanshan.
They've chased absolutely everything, China. Definitely lack a little bit of athletic power to compete with Germany. They're not shy of effort.
Short then, very nearly getting caught in possession. Just going back to that game, the opening game against China, they've got a very good record against the Canadians. They've met 26 times previously. They've won 14, drawn 5, only lost 7. So they'll go in there with a strong sense of self-belief, that's for sure. Again, the touch lets Peterman down. Remember, only making a debut in this competition. Well, the goal. Nicely done goal from Alex Pop. Lasse's in again. Quick first time ball drilled across again. They'll clearly work on that with Blasse, won't they? I mean, she's getting into position, she's getting a ball in, but she's just delivering it with so much pace.
She's so direct, though, and she's what Germany do need at times. We saw with Alushi in the first half, player that wants to come off the wide area and dribble centrally. Blase's just an out-and-out winger. Just wants to get behind, put balls into the danger area.
Liu Shanshan then. She's just told to put her arms down then, and Zhao Li is all over Maya again. De Brits. Peterman. Looking to somewhere to lay off the ball. That's a nice ball. It's offside against Blasse. Inside the final 10 minutes then here. And don't forget, we have France in action coming up. Kicking off in just over 20 minutes' time. Chance to see one of the teams in England's group in the World Cup finals of this summer. So it just shows you how far the women's game has come really in the last decade. I mean, half these players now are almost household names really if you watch football. There's the clearance from Zhu Xin. Xu Lan Yu.
Certainly got a lot more joy down the right-hand side in the second half of China. There's been so many changes to the game. I think it's been difficult for them to muster up too many attacks.
Corner kick to be taken by Zhu Xin. Wang Shanshan is the player to look out for, the number 3. It's going towards her. There she is. And And tees it up for the shot to come in then from Xu Yanlu.
She's just leaning back the whole way. See what they're trying to do, but
they do lack conviction, though, don't they, in the final third?
I just don't know where they're going to score. You know, they seem like a team that's worked so hard on their defensive play, which is fantastic, because no longer a China whipping team for anybody.
Federman. De Brits has got it now. On that left foot, De Brits with the cut back and cleared by Wang. De Brits again. Blasset is going to hit it first time, as you know. Still notice she's conceded the free kick there, Blasset.
Well, she seemed to be caught in two minds, didn't know whether to
much more energetic though in the second half since she's come on and Alushi has gone off.
Well, she's offered something for a team. I think Lauder and Alushi did very little in the first half. But sometimes it's just about having a great moment. We've seen with Manajan, she's not been overly involved, but one moment, 2-0 Germany.
Wenzing. She didn't have a good moment in the game against Sweden. She was responsible for giving it away for one of the goals, and it came off of her for a deflection with the other one, so inadvertently involved in 2 goals out of the 4 that Sweden scored. Over the top, giving them something to chase here. Yeli. Yeli, there is Wenzing. Challenge from behind there.
But again, excellent defending from China. They do so well to prevent the counter-attack. They drop off at the right moments. Germany have really struggled to break them down. I'm not saying they're expected to win this game. They look comfortable.
2 games in 2 days, I suppose. And again, it's like you said, I mean, we've had 2 different sides out of here, really, in the last 2 games. I mean, the full squad has been fairly well utilised here, there's no doubt about that. There's Mitag waiting for Pop to get forward. Pederman coming in on the back post here, but again, overhit. Canada 1, South Korea 0, full-time score. Both teams having red cards in that game, in the Cyprus Cup, that is. And Belgium 0, South Africa 1. De Brits losing out. That's a free kick given away by Kramer. Zhushin. Inside the final 5 minutes here. Germany will meet Brazil on Monday. China will play Sweden. Good jump from Wenzing. And very nearly came back into Wang Xinxin. She'll not really had an awful lot to do. I suppose in a game like this, she's happy that it's been fairly quiet, but really she doesn't often get a chance to be in the spotlight, really, so perhaps would have liked a little more action coming her way so she could show off her capabilities. German ball.
Well, it'll be a good learning curve for China. We know how young the team is. I'm sure once they review this performance, take the positives from it, they know they're moving in the right direction. But I think going into the World Cup and progressing out of their group, they have to find ways to score goals.
But, I mean, their records, we mentioned it against the Canadians, you know, the fact that they've won more than they lost against the Canadians. They've won more than they've lost against the two other opponents as well, Netherlands and New Zealand. They've only lost once against the Netherlands and 3 times against the New Zealanders. So I suppose they'll look at that and think, well, you know, we should be going through there. Now, can Germany add a 3rd goal here? They bring a good save out of Zhang. And that'll come back, free kick given. You'd have put money on her.
I think in those areas, I mean, again, just perfectly weighted pass into mid-tuck. That's what Germany have been lacking throughout the game.
And I think that is about the 5th chance in 2 games that Mittag has had when she's had a sighting of the keeper. So basically 1-on-1.
I mean, it's the one criticism you could have of a player that works so hard for a team. Doesn't get enough goals for the efforts created for her.
Xu Yanlu. Xu Lanyu, and very nearly found a way through. And unlucky Zhali, because Germany then were beaten for pace. The whistle has gone.
Looks like a serious injury there.
It is. The trainer being called for immediately here.
I think it's the sub Vensing.
Let's have a look. It was Zhali who went through. Right, now let's see here. Zhali. No, she turned her ankle, hasn't she? As she went down to make that challenge, she's turned her ankle. And that'll be her out of the game and probably out of the tournament. And they'll be hoping that it is nothing more serious than a slight twist of the ankle.
Well, that would be a major blow for Germany if they're to lose Vensing. We do have players that can fill in that area, but I think starting to become more of a regular.
Yeah, Alex popped down there just consoling her teammate, but she's in quite a degree of pain there, that is for sure.
Well, you could see how her ankle got caught underneath. You know, it looks like not only will they need the stretcher, but perhaps the player needs some oxygen.
Here's another look at it again.
It's a simple ball in behind.
Good run from Xu Yanlu. Zhali, now here goes the challenge. Again, it's difficult to see, to be perfectly honest.
You can see the right ankle. You can see the way it gets stuck on the turf. The knee collapses out. And probably a break in the ankle area, somewhere in her foot or her ankle. You can see she's in a lot of pain. And that's a real blow, because if there is a break in there, there's not a lot of time for this player to recover prior to the World Cup. And that will...
Now, just watch it. Oh, yeah, that is nasty. There's no blame on the Chinese player, Zhali. Gideon. And a few minutes of additional time now to cover that injury. Yeah, that is not what she wanted at the end of what has been a difficult day here.
Oh, I think that's a worrying injury. Be surprised if there isn't a break.
What we missed there was the fact that that was a good chance then for the Chinese. There have been precious few of them in this game. Blasser giving chase here. Pop in the penalty area. Meyer's up in support. Oh, nicely done, Meyer.
A good play again from Blasset. Retains the ball well for her team.
Well, France in action coming up. So don't go away when we conclude this. There's Alex Pot, little shirt tug there. Only where they can stop her. There's Gideon. And Schultz. Gideon. Flick up by Petterman. Clearance by Liu Shanshan. There it is. Final whistle goes. Germany have run out victors here by 2-0. Anya Mitag and Alex Pop, the second half substitutes. But it has been hard graft. It hasn't been pretty, but they've dug in deep and they've got a result.
It's what Germany do better than anybody else in the world. They didn't have their best attacking performance. They were solid defensively. They had to be patient in breaking China down, but the chances were always going to come.
The final score then here on match day 2 in Group A. It is Germany 2, China 0. Well, it is a recovery, obviously, after the defeat against the Swedes. That will be satisfying enough. Now, here is what is upcoming very shortly. It is France against Denmark. That is coming up directly after we conclude here. Don't forget, of course, this is the weekend when the MLS kicks off live and exclusively here on Eurosport. Don't forget to join us over the course of the weekend when you see all the big names across 4 live games over this weekend. For the moment, though, we will leave you with the final score here. It has been Germany 2, China 0. From Emma Hayes and from me, Tim Capel. Till next time, bye-bye for now.